podcast. Your host, Dr. Kelly Ray, is a renowned mindset coach and counselor, often referred to as the inner critic tamer. With a passion for guiding individuals through life's challenges, she specializes in personal growth and emotional healing. In each episode, Dr. Kelly Ray shares invaluable insights, practical strategies, and relatable stories designed to inspire you to take that first step toward positive change. So, grab your favorite beverage, settle in, and get ready to dive deep into meaningful conversations that empower you on your journey. Let's welcome Dr. Kelly Ray.
Hey there. Welcome back to the Getting to the Week podcast. I'm Dr. Kelly Ray, your host, and I'm so glad that you're here. I want to know, did you catch last week's episode with my special guest, Cameron Allen, neuroscientist? Oh my gosh, if you have not listened to that episode, either plan to listen to it after this one or go listen to it first and then come back to this one, because I'm telling you what, he was amazing. He was a great guest, and he had so much to share with us that I just think you could get a lot of information by just tuning in and hearing the conversation that we had. And this episode here is just kind of piggying back off the last 2 or 3 episodes that I've done, because it's a series that has built itself up to understanding so much more about yourself, about your nervous system, and things that we do. And this conversation that we're going to have today, I think a lot of people need to hear it. Especially if you've been doing the work on yourself, reading the books, listening to the podcast like this one, nodding your head and thinking, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And yet, you still feel stuck, or you still feel like, just not seeming to be where I think I want to be, where I ought to be. Shouldn't it feel different than this? It's like you know what to do, but you're not actually doing it. Oh, and I know that stings, because it certainly stung the first time I said that to myself, because I had to get real with myself. I had to see where I was getting in my own way. And if that's you, you may not even know it, but continue listening, because you might see some of that. I also want you to know that you're not alone. And more importantly, there's a reason for this. What I've seen over and over again, not just in the work I do with women, but in my own life as well, is that there's a gap between knowing and doing. And it's not because people don't care. And it's not because they're lazy, and it's not because the information isn't good. There's a lot of really good information out there. We're surrounded by it. It's available to us 24/7. You can listen to podcasts while you're driving to work. You can read a book or read a post or watch a video and have a moment where everything just clicks. You feel it. You understand it. And for a second, it almost feels like something's changed. But then you go right back into your day, and nothing actually shifts. Why? Because awareness by itself isn't what creates change. It's not enough to just know something. And this is the part that doesn't get talked about enough, right? This is like the hero's journey that we all are familiar with. We see it in movies, we read it in books. We know people who have lived that hero's journey. So what is that hero's journey? The hero's journey begins with the person who's going through something really hard, suffering through something. Maybe it's an unhealthy relationship. Maybe they've lost a business. Maybe they are just so financially drowning. It never seems like they're going to get out of a hole. Maybe it's health issues. Maybe they've just let themselves go, and then as a result of that, then now they're having some other things stack on top of that that are making them unhealthy, right? And then something happens where this person decides they're going to make a change in their life, right? And they start going through the steps. They start going through making changes along the way. And then we know the final result, right? That's where we see them after they've gone through the middle part, that gap part, where they're now successful. Maybe they're truly healthy, living in their own skin, feeling very confident in all of that. Maybe there's somebody who has gone from financial despair to now living that life of freedom, got their health back on track, maybe now in a healthy relationship, maybe mended relationships with family, whatever. But the thing is we want to bypass that middle part, right? We understand the suffering, we understand the hardship, we understand this sucks to be in this place, and we understand the end result of when that change happens. You know, it's like the Hollywood movie. It's the beginning and the end that we know so well, and it's the middle part that I think the Hollywood movies kind of trip us up on, because those movies are usually only about 2 hours, and let's be honest, that middle part, that gap that I'm talking about, that takes way more than a 2-hour Hollywood film scene to change. And there's moments in that gap that just suck. And you know, I'm not going to sugarcoat that, because it is. There's moments where you want to give up. There's moments where you're not quite where you want to be, but yet you don't want to go back to what you were. And those are pivotal moments in our lives, whether we end up finishing into the hero's journey, or if we step back into what I say, the devil we know, right? So it's the devil we know or the devil we don't know. And of course, we'll stay with the devil we know, because that's already familiar. We can already handle that devil because we get it. We don't like it. It's not comfortable. It sucks. But you know what? I don't know what the other side could look like. I don't know what that other devil. Why don't we just remove the word devil from it and say we're just stepping into uncertainty, the unknown, a shift in what we want to create for our lives. But these are all part of our conditionings, right? These are part of things that we were either taught or learned along the way on our own journey. And today I want to talk about 3 reasons why I see people stay stuck. The first one is they're intellectually aware, but they're not practicing. They understand the concepts. They can repeat it. Hell, they can even explain it to someone else. But they're not actually applying it in real moments. And awareness can feel like progress. It gives you that sense of, okay, I get it now. But here's the caveat. Your nervous system hasn't changed just because you know. Just because you understand. Patterns haven't changed. Your responses haven't changed. Because those only shift through practice. Not just understanding. It's like the woman who listens to podcasts like this every week. She knows she needs to slow down. She knows she shouldn't react the way she does. She knows her triggers. She can even explain them. But then she's in a conversation with her partner or her child or someone at work. And in that moment, she reacts the same way she has always reacted. Not because she doesn't know better, but because she hasn't practiced something different in real time. The second reason is they're still being run by the voice. And you ask, what's the voice? The voice is that inner critic that we've talked about. That voice is the unconscious mind. The voice is the shadow. The voice is the gremlin. The voice is whatever you want to label it. But for the sake of that, it's that voice. And even when they know it's better and they know it's there, even when they've heard it before, even when part of them knows this isn't actually true, though what this voice is telling me, in the moment, it still feels real. So the reaction takes over. The awareness disappears. And they fall right back into what's familiar. Not because they want to, but because that's what's been practiced the most. It's that moment where something happens, a tone, a look, a message that doesn't get responded to. And instantly the thoughts start. They must be upset with me. Oof, did I do something wrong? Ugh, here we go again. And even if part of you knows that might not be true, it feels true. I want you to hear that again. It feels true. And so why do I say that? Because you have a physiological reaction inside your body. That's that nervous system firing. So it's when that text doesn't get responded to right away that you might have a tightness in your chest. You might have, when you're concerned that maybe they're upset with you, then you kind of tense up a little bit. Your shoulders shrug up a little bit. Maybe your breath starts breathing shallower. Even though you can sit there and logically tell your brain, this isn't true, I've done nothing to cause this to happen, that nervous system fires a response, and physically you start having a visceral reaction in your body, and that convinces you and overrides your brain to think like, ooh, maybe that's it. So this causes you to react from that place rather than reason from that place, rather than pause from that place. That's the voice that's running the show. And the third reason is that you stop when it gets uncomfortable. And this one is huge. Because when you start doing this work, when you start slowing down, you start paying attention, you start tuning into your physical sensations and feel what's actually happening inside of you. It doesn't always feel good at first because it's unfamiliar often. We've become a society who has done a really damn good job of trying to protect ourselves from feeling anything, or only allowing ourselves to only concentrate on positive things. I'm telling you, if all you ever do is focus on positive things, it's just as bad as somebody who just seems to focus on everything that's negative. Right? There has to be a balance between the two. The other thing with this work is there's no immediate proof that it's working yet. Right? It's like when you go on a diet and you get rid of all the junk food or stop going out and eating, or maybe it's giving up sodas or drinking or whatever. you start noticing something pretty quickly. Maybe it's a detox that you're noticing, which then that can be questioning, well, why did I even do that? I don't want to feel this way. I was feeling bad, but this is feeling worse. And so we don't push through to get to the other side of that, which is freedom. Right? We give up way too soon. We want that hero's journey. We don't want the gap. We don't want the part in the middle. We want to go from here to there, and we want that to be a really short, pleasant exchange, right? We don't want that to be too uncomfortable. We don't want to have to disrupt or interrupt our existence for the sake of living a different life that's freer from the things that you're dealing with right now. So this is what your system does. It says, nope, this doesn't feel right. And it pulls you back into what it knows. It knows how to protect you in we've already practiced this a million times. So I got you, boo. I got you. I'll take care of you. You don't have to keep growing. You don't have to keep stretching. You don't have to have anything different. So by that, we'll just keep staying busy and pushing through and reacting quickly. Because that's what's familiar. This is the woman who tries what I shared. She pauses. She checks in. And instead of feeling calm, she feels a little anxious, a little restless, maybe even worse than before. And in that moment, she thinks, this is crazy. This is not working. So she goes back to scrolling. She goes back to staying busy. She goes back to distracting herself. Because at least that feels familiar. And when you really look at it, it's not a lack of information that's keeping people stuck. It's a lack of integration. And here's where I want to go a little deeper, because this is something I feel really strongly about. Most people don't change in the middle. They change when one of two things happens. Either the pain of where they are becomes too much, or the vision of where they want to go becomes strong enough. And until one of those outweighs the other, you stay stuck in this in-between space. Or regress back. This is where they know better, but they not doing different. This is where most people live. Again, it's like, I've read all the books, I've got all the certificates, I've done all the courses, I've, talked to 1 million people. And I got it. But what are you doing with what you have? You just don't take your toothbrush and brush your teeth once and think, okay, I got it, I understand it. I understand this concept of brushing my teeth and the benefits of it and all of that, but, I tried it. We don't do that with brushing with our teeth, so why do we do that with our mental health and wellness? This is not where people want to live. They do not want to live at rock bottom. And yet sometimes they put this expectation of what it would look like to crawl out of rock bottom or crawl out of whatever they're living right now that's not comfortable and fully stepping into something new. Because somehow it seems like it's going to be way too hard. And the reason it feels like it's going to be way too hard is because the way you're living right now is too hard for you. So we just automatically assume that everything's going to be hard. This is the person that's also just aware enough to know something needs to change. but not yet willing to do what change actually requires. And that space, it can last for years. And what I've seen happen over and over again is when the opportunity finally shows up, the relationship, the business, the next level, whatever that is, you're not actually prepared for it. Because preparation doesn't happen when the opportunity arrives. It happens before. It happens in the quiet moments. It happens in the practice. It happens in the choosing differently when it would be easier not to. And when that hasn't been built, people end up sabotaging the very thing they've been waiting, hoping, and praying for. Not because they don't want it, but because they don't have the internal capacity to hold it or the patterns to sustain it. Let's say she finally gets the relationship she said she wanted. But now she's overthinking everything. Now she's questioning everything. Everything seems to look like a red flag, right? Pulling away, maybe clinging. Not because it's wrong, but because it's unfamiliar. Or she gets an opportunity, the next level. And suddenly she's procrastinating, she's avoiding, she's second-guessing herself. Because she hasn't built the capacity to hold it yet. Knowing what to do doesn't change your life. Doing something different, consistently, does. So as we begin to wrap up this week's episode, if you're listening to this and thinking, okay, that's me, I want you to hear this part clearly. This isn't about needing more information. It's not about finding the next book, the next podcast, the next thing to learn. It's about becoming the person who can actually live what you already know. And that happens in small moments. The pause, the awareness, the choice to do something different, even when it feels uncomfortable. That's where the shift happens. Not all at once, but over time. And this is exactly the kind of work I do with women every single day. Not just helping them understand what's going on, but helping them actually apply it in their real lives so they can stop feeling stuck and start moving forward in a way that feels steady and sustainable. And if you're listening to this and you're thinking, that's me, don't just sit with it. Reach out. Send me a message. My email's in the show notes for you. And let's have a conversation. I want to thank you so much for tuning in this week and listening. I so appreciate you doing that. I so appreciate you subscribing, following this podcast, and sharing it with others so that we can just continue spreading this kind of help around for people who may be seeking it that we don't even know. I look forward to being with you next week, and until then, please know I send you so much love.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Getting Through the Week podcast with Dr. Kelly Ray. If you're looking to connect with her or schedule an appointment, here's how you can reach her. Follow her on Instagram at AskDrKellyRay. Check out her Facebook page at Dr. Kelly Ray B. Find her on TikTok at Dr. Kellyray. Visit her website at drkellyray.com. Or send her an email at drkellyray@gmail.com. Until next week, Dr. Kellyray sends you so much love.